All right, today we are going to break down how to build a really powerful meta ads funnel. We're talking about transforming your campaigns from, a game of chance into a strategic system that actually delivers consistent, predictable results.
So, does this look familiar? You're pumping money into meta ads, but the results, they just feel totally random, right? One week might be pretty good, but the next is a total bust. Look, it's a super common frustration, and it almost always points to the same thing: a lack of a clear underlying strategy.
And that's really the core problem we're going to solve today. When you're running ads without a structured plan, you're not just spending money. A lot of the time, you're just wasting it. You're missing out on this huge opportunity to build a real long-term audience that can fuel your growth for years to come.
So let's kind of shift our mindset here. The real goal isn't just to launch another campaign and hope for the best. It's to build a reliable, repeatable system, a growth engine that turns your ad spend into a predictable source of customers. And the framework for that whole system, it's the marketing funnel. And this is the solution to those chaotic ad campaigns. The funnel gives us the structure we've been missing. It is a proven framework that organizes all your efforts, it guides your budget, and it aligns your messaging so you get the maximum impact. So what even is a marketing funnel? Well, to put it simply, it's a strategic journey that you create for your customers. I want you to think of it like this. You start with a massive, broad audience at the very top, and you strategically guide them down through a series of stages until you have this smaller, super focused group of buyers at the bottom. For our meta ads system, we're going to break this whole journey into three really clear, manageable stages. First up is awareness. That's the top of the funnel, or TOFU. Then we have consideration in the middle. We call that MOFU. And finally, conversion at the bottom, which is known as BOFU. Let's dig into each one.
Okay, let's dive into this first stage, awareness. The goal here is simple, but it is massive. We just want to introduce our brand to as many relevant people as we possibly can. We're not hunting for sales yet. We are focused purely on visibility and making that great first impression.
So here is the exact blueprint for that campaign. Your objective is awareness, and your main goal is to get maximum reach. This means you want to go broad with your audience, not narrow. You're basically casting a wide net here. You're going to want to let this campaign run for about 2 weeks to really gather data and build that initial brand recognition. Now for the nitty-gritty settings. You want to pick reach as your performance goal. And here's a fantastic pro tip. Set a frequency cap. Showing your ad to the same person, say 3 times in one day, builds that crucial brand recall without getting annoying. See the difference? And of course, you've always got to be testing. Structure your campaign with a few ad sets and at least 5 different ad creatives. Let the algorithm do the heavy lifting to find your winners. Okay, let's move on to the next stage and see how this all connects. Welcome to the middle of the funnel, or MFOU. So now, people have actually seen your brand. The goal here completely shifts from just passive viewing to active interest. We want them to take that next step. At this stage, your campaign objective is traffic. The goal is to get people off of social media and onto your website or landing page. Now, this means your ad creative has to change. It's no longer just about showing off your product. It's about creating enough curiosity to make someone click that Learn More button.
Okay, now this slide is super important. When you're setting up a traffic campaign, Meta gives you 2 options. Link clicks just means someone clicked the ad, but landing page views confirms they actually stuck around long enough for your website to load. You always want to choose landing page views. You're paying for real visitors, not just accidental clicks.
And that brings us to the grand finale, the bottom of the funnel, or BOFU. We've built awareness, we've driven some traffic. Now and only now do we focus on the sale. This is where we turn those interested prospects into actual paying customers. But hold on, before you even think about building this campaign, there is a non-negotiable prerequisite. Your metapixel has to be correctly installed and tracking events on your website. Without this data, your conversion campaigns are basically flying blind. This step is absolutely 100% crucial. So the most important point for your BOFU campaign is that we are done with broad audiences. Your objective is sales. You're going to be targeting very specific, narrow audiences, people who've already visited your site, engaged with your content, or lookalike audiences based on your best customers. These are your warm prospects. So for your settings, you'll optimize for conversions and you'll tell Meta to specifically look for purchases. Now, when it comes to your creative, you got to think about authenticity. This is where user-generated content, or UGC, just absolutely shines because it provides social proof right when people are closest to buying. And a quick word of advice, be patient. You need to let your top-of-funnel campaigns run long enough to build a big enough audience before you start asking them to buy.
So let's pull all these pieces together and really talk about the payoff. Why go through all the trouble of building this structured funnel? Well, because this approach is what gives you a massive strategic advantage over the long run.
And this chart illustrates perfectly how you should think about your budget. You don't just throw all your money at sales campaigns. A really smart split is to invest the most, around 40%, at the top of your funnel. You've got to be constantly filling the pipeline with new potential customers because that's what feeds the rest of your system. Here's another key tip for managing that budget that's going to save you a ton of headache. When a campaign is working well, it is so tempting to just double the spend. Don't do it. Resist that urge. Meta's algorithm needs time to adjust, and big sudden changes can actually reset its learning phase. If you only increase your budget by about 15–20% at a time, you let the algorithm adapt smoothly, and that leads to much more stable and predictable performance.
And this is the payoff. This is why all of this matters. You go from just buying clicks to building a real, sustainable audience asset. And as you nurture people through this funnel, your cost per result naturally goes down because you're not talking to strangers anymore. This is how you get predictable sales and finally escape that frustrating cycle of guesswork.
Ultimately, it all comes down to this long-term mindset. This strategy is about creating a sustainable business by building a community and an audience that trusts you, not just making a quick one-off sale.
So there you have it. You now have the complete framework for a strategic, effective meta ad system. The only question left is, where are you going to start? Which stage of your funnel will you build first?